जय गुरुदेव। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं चैव ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। तपोभिक्षीणपापानां शान्तानां वीतरागिणां मुमुक्षूणामपेक्षोऽयम् आत्मबोधो विधीयते। So let's share our takeaways. We have this concept somehow that the mind is inside the body and everything is, the body is there and it is housing all of this inside. But actually it is the other way around. And like how Gurudev says, it is the body is considered the wick and the mind is like the glow around it. Similarly, when you look at the apanchikrita, the um, how the sukshma and karna shariras are formed, they, the more subtle they are, the more pervasive they are. Correct. Yes, Dr. Renu. Atma is a seer to the body, mind, and feelings. Very right. It is a witness to all of this. And Atma is also not somewhere deep inside your heart, somewhere sitting there. It seems to us like that because it is conditioned by the Sthula Sharira, but actually it is all pervasive. We have conditioned it because of the limited of the limitations of the self. And that pounding and thrashing of the thing that was so beautifully explained as how you sit and then you keep questioning, doing this internal manana of who is this. When you're feeling frustrated or you're feeling restless, who is it that is feeling that? And that Neela Vastradi, what the shloka that says how the Spatiko, yeah, such a beautiful example where it is because of the association of the blue cloth, the pure crystal as though appears as blue. Atma is Shuddham Chaitanyam it is. It is Asangoham. But whereas because of this apparent Sangha with this, and that is all the making of the Maya, and it appears as though it is blue. So it appears as though it is the Stula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira. That's why we say, I am hungry. It is not Atma that is hungry. It is that as though connection that makes us feel that I am hungry. It's so very nice. Yeah. Anyone wants to share? Otherwise, we will start with the this one, the commentary. Please share. Each one of you unmute and share. Whatever, in one sentence, your takeaway, whatever was that beautiful.
Here I got the concept of big mind and small mind, but Guruji always say, स्थूल सूक्ष्म और कारण शरीर के भी ऊपर हमारा आत्मा है, और वो हम जैसे उपाधि मिल जाती है और हम जो we are suffering because of the upadhi. He said sukha dukkham is because of this stula, sukshma and karana sharira. Atma is like a crystal which takes the shape of everything like that. So it is a pure crystal. But because of this upadhis or something, we feel. So Atma is not bhokta. He is not suffering
Karta.
or enjoying anything like
Yeah,
that.
nice. And also the difference between the swabhava and the guna, that example of the water that is gurgling down a slope. So that is actually a the swabhava of water. If it's a guna, it has to be there. It will not be there throughout. Isn't that what Nana had mentioned? The swabhava of Atma is Satchit Ananda.
Yes, Siddhi. And guna is like anger, which comes and goes.
Yeah,
So
like
to
So in guna sahita and guna rahita in Guru Puja we chant, no?
yeah, that is because Atma is gunatita. Whereas the swabhava of Atma is Satchidananda, just like how the swabhava of sugar is sweet. You cannot remove the sweetness from the sugar crystal.
and I think the way to probably realize it is to negate, right? Whether it's the koshas also, we have to go through each kosha and say, that's not me.
Mm.
Annamaya kosha, yeah, say, this is not me. Then go to pranamaya kosha and then still realize that's not me. Because those are all changing, right? Whatever is changing cannot be you. So that way, that negation is the only way you can realize what Atma is. Otherwise, it will continue to be something that we can imagine it is here, there, or whatever. But as we negate each, like Panchakosha is one good way to negate each kosha and then finally realize you are beyond all that. And the way you can negate it is when you see that, okay, those are all changing. Body is changing. Yes, so you can't be Annamaya. Prana is also coming and going, right? So that can't be you. Then go Manomaya. Man also constantly changing. Can't be you. Then go beyond that. Vijnanamaya Kosha. There also you can, that's the way to realize the Atma. So
Yeah,
slowly, that will happen, right? It's, I think, in one of the recent satsang or somewhere Gurudev had mentioned, where at that level it has to happen. It is not something with your own efforts and this and all. It might not come easily, but it has to happen to you. That realization.
yeah, that's what Nana had mentioned. Vijatiya vritti rahita, sajatiya vritti, um, where everything becomes the Brahmakara vritti, Atmakara vritti.
Mm.
So when you sit in contemplation and you do this neti, and you do this, and through logical conclusion, it's a beautiful analysis, it's an abhyasa to do. Then you come to that the whole thought is just that Brahmakara vritti.
Mm.
And then as you keep doing this punaha, then there would come a time. This is also, it is like thrashing that pound of the paddy, thrashing paddy. You keep doing this again and again, that asangoham, 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 punah punaha. And then there would come a time, probably, that achirena adi gachati. When that comes, then it comes. The realization dawns that you are nothing but you rediscover yourself.
Hmm.
Someone was asking Gurudev in yesterday's satsang, some Jyotish had told him that in 2 more lifetimes he's going to get moksha. So he was asking whether Gurudev can give him the moksha in this life itself. Gurudev said, don't come under all these influences. If you know, getting moksha is, uh, it all depends on your, I'm not sure whether I'm saying what exactly Gurudev said, but he said, it can happen right now. So don't get caught up in all this.
Yeah, I think somewhat on the same lines is what he mentioned. This last stage, which is called Shambhava Upaya or something
Mm,
like that, some word, that it just suddenly dawns. It's not
yeah.
something you can plan to have it at a particular time. It can
Right.
just happen.
No, Dr. Renu, Anandamaya Kosha is not the same as Atma. Remember,
No,
Atma
it's not.
is what? Pancha Kosha Titaha, and Anandamaya Kosha is included in the Pancha Koshas. Right? So Atma is apart from the Anandamaya Kosha. Anandamaya Kosha is, I think, what we experience, that peace that we experience when you do a guided meditation and all that. That, but that is also enveloped by a layer of ignorance.
Yeah, yeah. That's also a kosha. It's a sheet,
Kosha. Yeah.
right? So Anandamaya, all these mayas means there is modification. So
Mm.
these joys, pleasures that you feel, those fall into that Anandamaya kosha. But still, it's a kosha. It's not the Atma. Atma is beyond that.
I have a question. Actually, after Tamasansh, everything is arising. So in Panchakosha, is the Tamasansh only?
Got it?
No, no.
He said,
Tamasa,
no.
see, if
Mm,
you go back to Tattva Bodh, I know I got your question. You're asking whether Panchakosha is also from Tamasamsha, right?
yeah, after Panchikarana, it appears, I think.
Panchikarana, it is the Sthula Sharira that appears. Sukshma Sharira is not after Panchikarana.
Okay.
It is from the
Okay. Yeah.
Rajasamshas, you have all the Panchapranas,
Uh,
Karmendriyas,
hmm.
Jnanendriya. Jnanendriyas are from the Sattvikamshat. So if you go back to Tattva Bodh,
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
Panchamahabhutas, they have the 3 gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. So from the Sattvikamshat, you get the Tanmatra, the perceptive abilities of
Correct.
all the
Hmm,
sense organs. And the Samishti Sattvikamshat, you get the Antakarna, the Mano,
hmm,
Buddhi, Chitta, Antakarna, right? And
hmm.
whereas the Rajasamsha, you get all the Karmendriyas, all the organs of action, organs of perception, the Pancha Pranas, the Samishti Rajasamsha.
Hmm.
Uh, Ramadi, one point which I like what Nana ji said and which really opened my, thought process more deeper, like Atma is infinity. Like when he said there is no place where there is no Atma.
Mm,
Space between you and me also there is Atma.
mm,
Then that depth of
mm.
Atma was more understanding in this. Thank you.
Yeah. And also the space, like space it includes all the galaxies. You just expand your mind and your imagination when you let that limitation in your mind, when you let loose of that, and then you expand yourself. Like when we do the space meditation, you feel so expansive. Atma is something that contains space even. So Atma is, you can imagine the infinitude of Atma, Anantaha. At the same time, it is also in the Anu. So it is both. That is why in the space meditation, Gurudev takes us to the galaxies, universe, and everything, and then brings us back to a grain of sand. So at the same time, it is there in everything. Yeah, very nice. Lovely.
And also, I like the example when he said, if you are feeling restlessness, like whose feeling? Is it generated by Atma? No, it will be the mind. Then discriminative mind talking to undiscriminating mind.
Correct.
So it get quietens when you do your self-talk.
Mm.
Then you know the nature of Atma and the qualities of Atma.
Mm.
That this was another big takeaway.
Mm.
Then thoughts become more clearer, thoughtless state. And that is through Abhyasa one can reach. It
Correct.
is not one day job. It is Abhyasa.
Abhyasa and all we can do to gain Antakarna Shuddhi, right? That's where the polishing will happen by your constant practices that we are doing, all the sadhanas and all that. But at one point, even that sadhana, you have to go beyond that also, right? Atma
We
is
should do
like,
swadhyaya, not abhyasa, swadhyaya.
Swadhyaya is, yeah, contemplation on all this that we are learning will help.
Yes, Dr. Renu, consciousness and Atma are the same. Yeah, nice. Beautiful sharing today. Very good. So shall we go through the commentary of Atma Bodh? We did this yesterday. Nanopadhi Vashadeva Jati Varnashramadaya Atmanyaropitastoye Rasavarnadi Bhedavat. Nana went through this today as well. Because of its association with different conditionings, upadhis such ideas as caste, color, and position are superimposed upon the Atman, as flavor, color, etc. are superimposed on water. When we take it a little further into the Sukshma Sharira, we superimpose all the feelings also on the Atma. You say, I am hungry, I am angry, I am upset, I am happy. So when we remove all those, what remains is just the I am. So whether one is an advocate, a doctor, or a porter, the inner personality factors are the same. The education obtained, the apprenticeship undergone, and the profession pursued are the only differences. They are all of one community, the community of man, but in their outer description and address, each differ from the others. Similarly, life is the same everywhere, but the expression of life manifested through each one of them differs from all others. Whatever be the physical shape and form, name or caste, whatever be the emotional beauty or intellectual grasp exhibited, the Atman is the same everywhere in all creatures. There is no difference, such as a young Atman, an old Atman, a Christian Atman, a Hindu Atman, a poor Atman, a rich Atman, etc. The life-giving truth in the varied existence of things is the one reality which equally thrills the entire panorama of things, persons, and personalities. It remains unaffected by and unattached to all outward marks, always a dispassionate observer of the endless drama of life. The same electric current alone causes the fan to revolve, the refrigerator to cool its contents, the light to burn differently in the green, blue, or red bulbs. Because of the difference in the manifestations of the energy as it passes through the different equipments. Ignorant people call them all by different names. Yet, the electricity wise man understands them all as depending upon the one energy. This electricity analogy is so very beautiful. Water itself is colorless, although a given sample of it may be white, another yellow, and yet another sample red, each depending upon the nature of the extraneous matter it contains. In the same way, according to the type of vasanas in each individual, there seems to be difference between man and man. If we remove the contamination caused by the limitations, upadhis, and understand and experience the one inner spirit which runs through all the individuals, we would realize that the difference we have been perceiving is merely a superimposition on that one glorious reality, without whose illumination life would be dark and impossible, a non existent non entity. Well, when a person drops his body, physical body, and merges into death, there is there is no life in him. So it becomes a non-existent non-entity. It is only because of this illumination, life is illumined because of this consciousness. Panchikritamahabhutam sambhavam karma sanchitam shariram sukha dukkhanam bhogayatana muchyate. Panchikritam, the five elements that have gone through the process of five-fold self-division and mutual combination. Mahabhuta Sambhavam, made up of the five elements. Karma Sanchitam, determined by one's own past actions. Shariram, the gross body. Sukha Dukkhanam, for pleasure and pain. Bhogayatanam, medium of experiencing. Uchyate is said. In Tattva Bodh, Shankaracharya started from the subtle to the gross, whereas here in Atma Bodh, he started from the gross to the subtle. Determined for each individual by his own past actions and made up of the five elements that have gone through the process of five-fold self-division and mutual combination, Panchikarana, are born the gross body, the medium through which pleasure and pain are experienced, the tent of experiences. Now we come to analyze how the limiting factors or upadhis emerge. The biographical story of the growth and development of the bodies or layers of matter beneath which the Atman revels as luminous consciousness. The three bodies are called the gross body, the subtle body, and the causal body. The gross body is composed of the five elements: space, air, fire, water, and earth. Observe the history of the body after death, during its disintegration. Soon after life has departed from it, the heat contents pass out and the body becomes icy cold. So that means the fire element has left the body. It also bloats up and emits gas, the air element, and soon it decays in its own juicy contents, the water element. And finally, the bare physical structure decays to dust, the earth element. The space occupied by the body is yielded back, that is the akasha. In all creation, the gross is derived from its subtler state, and we all know that the cause precedes the effect. In the theory of Panchikarana, it is very elaborately pointed out how these five elements are evolved, how they intermingle, and how from the subtle tanmatras, tanmatra means that alone, tat matram, that alone. The gross elements come about. So this Nana went through in detail, so we'll just skip this, unless anyone has any doubts in this. Otherwise, we'll move on to the... So the 5 great elements are space, air, fire, water, and earth. Before their grossifications, they were each themselves, and in their pure natural states, they are called the Tanmatra. That is Tad Matram. Their grossifications take place in 5 definite scientific stages. Stage 1, they remain in their own individual pure state. Stage 2, each Tanmatra of all the 5 elements shows a tendency to split into 2 equal halves. Stage 3, they split into 2 halves. And stage 4, at this stage, half Tanmatra of each element remains intact, and the other half divides itself into 4 equal bits, each bit being 1/8 of the whole Tanmatra. Thus, at this stage, each Tanmatra of stage 1 has split into 5 segments, 1 half bit and 4 1/8 bits. In stage 5, the last stage, each half remains the same and it combines with the 4 1/8 bits borrowed from all other 4 elements. The human body, as already stated, is the equipment with which we perceive things. And it is with the sense organs available in the body that we derive our quota of pleasure and pain, which in their turn, give us a measure of our success and failure in our individual lives. The enjoyment of pleasure and pain, bhoga, in this physical body, the hut of pleasure, the hall of experience, is determined by our past karmas. Karma sanchitam. Thought by thought, action by action, we have demanded the present body and mental equipment. In fact, even while we are alive and acting here now, we order the shape of the future life to be. Unless we conquer the bad vasanas by right conduct and practice systematically the righteous values of life, we do not come to live in an atmosphere in which our thoughts and actions are sufficiently divine and to be directly helpful for our own progressive evolution. It therefore now rests with us to make or mar our progress. To get a better life with plenty of opportunities in which we can slowly and steadily go forward and ultimately come to realize the supreme truth, or to get a wicked one in which we can dive ourselves into a greater gloom. With our own actions, we give a blueprint to God, ordering the exact shape of our destiny. And according to the specifications given, the body, the tent or experience, is built and handed over to each one of us by the all-merciful, omnipotent, divine creator. How beautifully Swamiji has explained how important it is, our Purushartha, this Moksha Purushartha, this Mumukshutvam is so important here, because we have given ourselves a blueprint in our previous janmas. Therefore, we've got this life. But even here, thought by thought, action by action, we are creating a blueprint. We actually, he says, we have demanded this body. So it is in our hands as to how we want to shape our future. Whether we want to go up the ladder into spiritual progress and progressive emotional spiritual maturity, or do we go dive down and get into greater gloom? It is all our making. It is nothing to be said. It is not, you cannot blame God for any of what we're going through. He is only doing his job. That is, He is doing the karma phala data. That is it. We create our own karmas. So beautiful. Anyone wants to share anything here? Pancha prana mano buddhihi dashendriya samanvitam apanchikrita bhutotham sukshmangam bhoga sadhanam. So just going back to this previous verse, I just wanted to say, well, if some of us have the tendency to have migraine, some of us have tendency to develop um, any disease process that is going on, it is all actually our own making of our past lives. And how we chisel it out again in this life, again is dependent on us. So our destiny, in fact, we have made ourselves. So when you look at this, then there is only free will. Destiny apparently is destiny, but it's actually free will of the past life, isn't it? It's our own making.
Jai Gurudev. I wanted to ask, like, the diseases which we have, we choose the diseases also, like people having cancers
I
or
think it's not
some.
we choose, no, it is without, it is inevitable. We've chosen in the sense from our past lives, we behave the way whatever we've done. And because of all the vasanas and the karma phala, that sanchitam, that karma sanchitam is how the sukshma body, the sthula sharira is born, right? So
Yeah.
it is sum total of all our impressions from which we have actually taken this body that determines what diseases we go through, whether enjoyments, pleasures, pain that we go through is self-made, so to say, isn't it?
Yeah. Thank you.
So we don't need to blame anybody. That is why we take full responsibility for ourselves. Take responsibility for your feelings, for your actions, for your thoughts, for your experiences, whatever you're going through. And we don't blame anyone. We don't blame XYZ. We don't even blame God for that. It is not his job. It is not his doing at all. And this will also kind of clarify. Sometimes we get this doubt, why, how come some people are born into poor families? How come there are there are countries that are enjoying, developed countries and developing countries? All this is again their own doing, isn't it? Sometimes people ask, if God is all loving, all compassionate, why has he created poverty? Why? He has not created anything. It is our own making. Pancha prana mano buddhihi dashendriya samanvitam apanchikrita bhutotham sukshmangam bhoga sadhanam. Pancha prana, the five pranas, the manifestation of life in our body. Mano buddhihi, mind and intellect. Dashendriya, the 10 organs. Samanvitam, combined. Apanchikrita bhutotham, formed from the rudimentary elements before their panchikarana. Sukshmangam, the subtle body. Bhoga sadhanam, instrument of experience. The five pranas, the 10 organs, and the manas and the buddhi, formed from the rudimentary elements, tanmatras, before their fivefold division and mutual combination with one another, panchikarana. And this is the subtle body, the instruments of experience of the individual. In the lower wombs of the plant and the animal, and the higher beings, the human and the celestial, there are vast differences. But behind all these wonderful differences, to any discriminative intellect capable of seeing things in their correct and true perspective, there is one pulsating force that plays the song of life through all these various equipments. If there be one, if there be such a oneness of existence everywhere, why is there a series of different experiences within myself? And why then, again, the various grades of life outside? Vedanta has not only theoretically dealt with this question, but a practical approach has been made to this problem. A very convincing answer indeed is given to this deep doubt. In this stanza, the term prana is to be correctly understood. It is the manifestation of life in our body. And the 5 pranas are the 5 departments of life's activities, or categories of prana functioning departmentally in 5 ways. They are: number 1, prana is that life force which controls and regulates the various activities in our sense organs. It is because of this dynamic energy that life is evident in sense perceptions. 2, apana is the excretory system in a healthy body, the capacity to reject the unnecessary and unwanted poisonous things from the body. Vyana is the third, which expresses. So here prana is not just the mechanical breathing in and out. There are 5 different departments of prana which govern the functioning of the body. So Vyana expresses life's functions in the digestive system, which makes the food ready for absorption by the body. Samana distributes the food with equity and justice, as the very word indicates, according to the need of the moment to each part. More food goes to our hands if we are cutting wood or breaking stones, and more for the legs if we are running or walking. I'm not sure, my understanding might be a little, it's a little different from what Swamiji has mentioned here. Vyana is the circulatory aspect of prana, which distributes, it's a circulation, it distributes the energy, whereas samana, as I have understood earlier, is that the digestive aspect of food, that of the prana, which helps us absorb the nutrients from food.
That's right. That's
Isn't
how
it?
I also did.
I think there's a little interchange here, which is okay. I mean, as far as we understand, it's just the name that is different.
Samana was digestion, yes, and Vyana is circulation.
Correct.
Prana is respiration, and what is the second one? I forgot.
Apana. Apana is the excretory.
Excretion, yeah, and last one
Is the udana. Udana is the capacity to rise up and peep into fresh fields of knowledge by which the existing wrong notions are removed by the newly acquired convictions and experiences. The capacity in us to evolve or devolve in our thoughts.
So Udana is also sometimes referred to as reverse actions, like vomiting, burping. These are all because of Udana.
Yeah. Any upward movement, basically.
Upward, yeah.
And it is through Udana that the
Sukshma Sharira leaves the body also, yeah.
The Sukshma Sharira leaves the body. So in order to spiritually evolve, our Udana prana has to be very well founded.
Yeah, Jai Gurudev.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, please. I'm sorry. It's the word itself explains everything. Udana is coming up, samana, making it equal. I mean, yeah, that is what I'm taking it. Jai Gurudev.
One question I have, Jai Gurudev.
Yeah.
Prana like, it's more than the respiration, like you said, Dr. Brahmra. So I think the prana, when we get ill, the first thing which dips down is the prana.
Right.
Is it?
Correct.
No, prana
Prana,
is also, all five is also referred together as prana. But if you're looking at five separately, then prana is the respiration. So they say
Yeah,
that
but after reading, like after going through all this, what I perceived was that when you get ill, the prana is the main life force which literally dips down, because your excretory, your digestive systems, maybe they are in a normal mode, but the energy you lack, like you lack doing, you are not able to do the things as you want in the full energy, and the energy you don't have when you are ill in any way, because all the systems are going, like you are eating, you are digesting, then you are, the excretory system is also there, but the main thing which the energy part is so much lacking that you are not able to do those things regularly which you were doing initially. So the prana force is,
Jai Gurudev Savitaji,
yeah,
we are a little bit getting confused with the name prana. So subtle
yeah,
life
that
force
was what,
energy, you are referring to subtle life force energy, right?
yeah.
Subtle life force energy you are referring to. And when we say pancha pranas, there is when the prana is mentioned, though the means spelling and the name is same, seems to be same, but here uh, the pancha prana, that prana is different from subtle life force energy when we normally say it as subtle life force energy, that prana. Subtle life force energy includes all these pancha pranas also, isn't it? And
Yeah,
here
but it
I wanted to
was,
get clarity from Brahmaraji that Vyana is responsible for all our joints to move, no? I think when the Vyana gets disturbed, you get that joint pain and it gets up to, means if it is too low.
Dhyana was it refers to the function of digestive system, right?
No, no, Vyana is
Yeah, I think there
circulation.
is a little bit of confusion here regarding Vyana and Samana, because in the Tattva Bodh and yoga and all that, where we learn, Vyana is uh, is the circulatory the energy, that the prana that takes care of circulation. It distributes energy to
And
the
movement
body.
also. And movement also. Circulation
Ah,
and movement.
so the movement is that joints when Vyana is disturbed, no, then only it manifests in the form of troubles in the joints. That is why when we do the Sudarshan Kriya, no, the first Kriya, some people get completely their joints get jammed and they become so stiff, their bodies become so stiff because that Vyana is getting re-established again in the Kriya. And when they cry and they show all kinds of different emotions in the first Kriya, that is their Udana is getting settled. That's what Gurudev has told us in one of the TRMs actually.
Yeah, that's a good. I mean, I don't know that perspective, but that is good. That thing. Now, prana is like Madhuri ji said, the complete life force energy is that prana. And when we talk of prana, it's not just breathing in and out. That is what even Swamiji has mentioned. It includes all these five different categories of prana. And of that, the first prana is the one that takes care of life. It regulates. It includes. It does not that it does not include the respirations. Of course, it includes breathing in and out. In addition, it also includes um, various activities in our sense organs. And it is because of this dynamic energy that life is evident and in sense perceptions. That is what Swamiji has mentioned here. Yeah. Similarly, apana. But Savita ji, what you said is very right. The moment someone is ill, the prana, overall prana comes down. That is why people are asked to rest, eat light, so that you're not putting the samana vayu to any to strain. So when they rest, they're not actively physically doing anything. So all the other pranas are also kind of there. We are optimizing their functioning. So that will enable the body to recover from whatever illness. I'm not sure whether your question is answered, Savita ji.
So it's a bit confusing because if you differentiate the prana from like the 5 pranas, if you differentiate each one, then they are all catering to different activities of the body. But if you consider the whole, these 5 pranas together, then I think it explains the loss of energy. And
Correct.
because
You are very
also,
right. Correct.
yeah.
If you take the sum total of all of them, that is what it's very clearly mentioned here, that in this stanza, the term prana is to be correctly understood. It is the manifestation of life in our body. That is number one. That is the sum total of everything, of all the 5 pranas. And the 5 pranas are the 5 departments of life's activities or categories of prana functioning departmentally in 5 ways. So it is the sum total is what is the subtle life force energy, which is because of which life is manifesting, and then they have different sub departments. So when you categorize them, then you are giving them individual roles and responsibilities, so to say.
Thank you.
Brahmaraji, another interesting thing which I heard recently, I don't know how true, like when we say we are hungry, we are thirsty, it is actually, it seems it's a function of the pranas. The body is not really hungry or thirsty. It's the pranas.
Yes, it is perfectly right. Gurudev has mentioned 5 upapranas, which are responsible for the functioning of the, means that, as you said, hunger, and then burping, and
correct.
eyes blinkering. All there are 5 names for the upapranas also.
Some Dhananjaya and something else.
Krikala, Kirkala, Krikala. 5 names are there for the 5 upapranas for different function in the body. Even this yawning is also one of the function of prana.
Yeah, you were saying something, Vijay?
No, I was saying, so many times we think certain things are attributed to maybe the mind. We say, oh, maybe mind is hungry, or sometimes body is hungry, but it's actually the pranas. And the way these koshas are also how they are related to the 3 different bodies. Like Annamaya kosha, okay, very easily we can relate it to Stula Sharira, right? Same way, your Pranamaya kosha, actually Pranamaya kosha also includes, in addition to these pranas, the Pancha pranas, it also includes the organs of action. Because it's all physiological function. Actually, if you see Pranamaya kosha, it is the physiological function which includes these 5 pranas and also your organs of action. Hands, legs, whatever the 5 things are there. So that along with Manomaya kosha and Vijnanamaya kosha form the Sukshma Sharira.
Correct.
So there is a beautiful way all these are very beautifully connected with each other. We might think these are all separate, independent, but all beautifully connected.
Mm.
Wow, that's so revealing. I mean, it's so interesting. I just want to ask all the doctors, is it there in your anatomy, physiology studies, these inclusion anywhere in the I mean,
No,
the textbook forms anywhere? This is so much,
no.
so beautiful and so subtle to be
Yeah.
notified and to be understood. Because
Mm.
we are negating Sukshma Sharir, Sthul Sharir, Karan Sharir, everything. But at the same time, Atma, which is not affected by any of this, we don't need to bother much about that. But we need to bother more about these all connections, to reach there.
Yeah. No, this perspective is not there in modern medicine at all. We only learn the gross anatomy, brain. We only learn the anatomy. Of course, there is in psychology, there is, you have all these mind and intellect and everything, but then uh, this beautiful analysis of how body is created, the mind is created. No,
Modern medicine stops at a particular point, right? They need.
we don't take five elements. No, they don't consider five elements only.
Mm.
But all this, of course, is there in Ayurveda. Science of Ayurveda includes it is the science of life. So it has included all this Panchikarana and all that. And actually, if we can pay, like even some few days back, someone was asking about the doshas. It will be very interesting if we can go a little deeper. That will make us understand our own body, our own prakriti, vikriti, you know, and we'll be able to understand how our Ayurvedic doctor is prescribing this. And it's actually very intriguing.
The great sadhak or the swamis or the great saints, so they are working on, they are doing the sadhanas, deep sadhanas, so that they have control over their, or they negate all these panch koshas, like they don't need food, they don't need the annamaya kosha, they literally they conquer the koshas, I think. Then they reach that bliss state. I was just thinking over these this perspective view, because they don't need food, they don't need water, they survive with very little amount of food. So they must be uh, covering all these koshas. Then they must be reaching that state. No.
No, Savita ji, that I don't know. Normally, any saint, physical needs will be there, like food and all that. The others you are talking about are some siddhis some people gain, right?
Yeah,
Some
they
special
like
power.
I heard they drink only a sip of water or in a whole day. So they must have covered all these koshas. They
But
then only.
you see, in Africa, there are places where there is no water at all. If a child feels absolutely thirsty, then it will go to any animal and drink a little milk from its udders. So there is no water in so many parts of Africa. And I believe when our civilization was still evolving, we were all in the forests and all. We ate when food was available to us. We drank water when we came to a lake. All this happened when we started fasting and all. Their whole mind was on, okay, I'm hungry. And therefore the need to be wanting constantly to eat every half an hour of fruit or something. So it's the mind getting disturbed that we are fasting. Otherwise, where people are according to their environmental conditions and places, and all these rishis and all, these are developed, uh, they just develop this. Because you eat when some fruit is available to you in the jungle, when you come across something to eat. And you drink water when you come to a water body, just with the animals in the forest.
But they will be conquering their pranas. No.
Yeah, but this is something that happens. Like these people who are staying in Africa are not any rishis or saints. They have conquered their thirst and hunger. They have no alternative. They don't have a choice. So it is our mind that, because of the disturbances in the mind, that we say we are thirsty every half an hour or we are hungry every hour. And that's because of our lifestyles now. So basically, rishis and all, they are more evolved, of course, because they were used to living in natural conditions. Finally, you develop to a certain extent.
Which is true. I think thank you, Percy, for bringing in that perspective. Because if you look at fasting, a person may, for instance, he's gone out of from home and he's gone on a errand, and for some reason there is a delay, his lunch and all that. He will continue. He will not feel as disturbed as someone who's just started fasting. He's asked to fast. Like, for instance, children, when we were asked to fast, the moment you're asked to fast, the only thing you think about is food, because you feel you're constantly thinking about food. And there was actually this experiment. This is the effect of the mind on our body and on our, how the mind body connect is. They had two separate rooms. There was one person, both the people, they had cut their arteries, they little slit, and the blood was actually dripping down from one person. He was not told that this was done, but the other person, it was not done. His artery was not cut, but there was a sound of the drop of of liquid falling down on the floor. So the second person was told that this was done. The first person was not told. So when they actually, after a while, they examined both of them. The second person, for whom the artery was not slit, he did not lose blood. He had become weaker in physically, mentally, and he had fainted, so to say, compared to the first person. So basically, it is certainly the effect the mind has over all of this, but um, uh, it's I think a complex intertwining of the mind over this. If we can tease it out, if we can tease out, separate the mind, and then deal with the panchakoshas separately, then probably that will be a part of our siddhi or sadhana.
There is a lot of correlation between the Panchkoshas and what we call vyadis, what ailments we get. There are two types, Adichi Vyadi and Anadichi Vyadi, it is called in Ayurveda. Anadichi is what is through external, like you met with an accident and your body limbs are injured or something, or a mosquito bites you, externally something comes into your body, an ailment. And that is just 15%. 85% is Adichi Vyadi, they say, which is all made by our own minds. And I've got that slide. I explain it in the advanced course. I'll send it across to you, Dr. Bamra. Then if you
Yes,
feel it appropriate, and how at every level, what you can use where. Like when the body is affected, then you have to use along with food, medicine, and exercise to make the body well, yoga, whatever. Then at every stage of the kosha, see what Guruji talks about quiver-free breath, and what somebody in this group was also referring to. The breath is no more quiver-free, and that is why the ailments increase. How when you are angry, how the temperature of the body goes up. There is so much of a correlation between the body falling sick and our mind. So all that is there in those slides. One slide I've got, I think. And even all these other things, the pranas, if I have that slide, I'll send it across. Then probably it's like how knowledge, when it is used in Vijnanmay Kosha, then it will not come down to the body level only. How when we do seva, then it will not come down. So how to go up to Anandmay Kosh through the various things that Nanaji has been teaching us. that correlation is there in the Panchkoshas. I'll see that if
Yeah.
I find that, okay, that
If
slide
you can
immediately.
find that, and yeah, that will be wonderful. If you
Yeah.
can share it tomorrow in our Manana, maybe, and explain it, that will really be useful. Because
Okay.
there are some gray areas that I have, I think some of us also in the group might have, is the between the the Pancha Mahabhutas, the Panchikaranas, Stula Sharira, doshas, and how how diseases are created. So like what you're saying, if you can share that, that would be really good.
Very elementary, what we learned in BR School of Yoga when I did my yoga
Right.
course. This
Right.
was over there to us. So I kept that in my notes, and that I'm using now in the advanced courses.
Very nice.
Kindly elaborate tomorrow. Very nice. I mean, the way you tell is so easy to understand. So
Right.
kindly tomorrow we can have only on that Manana, Brahmaraji.
Yeah,
Explain it.
we'll do that.
I'll send it also to Dr. Brahmra so that she can then share screen and then I can
will. Yeah. Please, we'll do that. You send it to me and I will share screen.
Yeah. There's a lot of correlation, like even the hormonal secretions, like we call happy hormones and the negative hormones, like uh, cortisol and all that, they cause stress and anxiety. So all those are also there, which affects our body. And they are all liberated through the excessive disturbances in the mind. So yeah, happy endorphins are liberated. What happens when which is liberated? Even that is wonderful to understand. Like S and S, serotonin is liberated when seva is done. So same is done when you go out shopping. If a woman is not praised for her cooking or something for her household chores, that is why ladies enjoy shopping so much. And then serotonin is liberated, and that is a happy hormone. It gives you a feel-good factor. And if you, the same thing, if somebody, when you do some project or something and you complete it on time, when you do seva and somebody praises you for that, then also serotonin is, that makes you happy. So what makes you happy and what makes your mind disturbed is also all based on hormones. And how everything that we do here, what Gurudev tells us about sadhana, seva, satsang, all that is so wonderful. Like all the happy hormones get liberated there. I did all those correlation and I made those slides. I don't know. Let's see. I'll put it across then probably.
Yeah, that will be a real, boon to all of us to better understand ourselves. Basically, to understand, so that ultimately we have to cross over all of this. But in order to understand and analyze, like what Swami Chinmayananda said, come to logical conclusions, logical observations, scientific analysis. So this will help us.
My also, the ultimate aim is to how do you go to that Atma? And
right.
My main focus has always been, sorry to say it, but it's always been more on seva than anything else. It's also an integral part of it, but more seva oriented.
Right.
Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev Parsi ji. Thank you for sharing. So what I suggest today, it's already 7:07. I would maybe just complete this. There's a couple of more paragraphs here for Stula Sukshma Sharira. And then shall we wind up today? Because I have I mean, I don't mind if you want to continue till 7:30, but I have a C-section to go to. So I thought we will do it till here. 1 second, because we are in the prana thing. Let's just complete this so we get a little idea what Swamiji wants to convey. So, yeah, Udana is done. So as the one central government holds its sway over the whole country from its seat in New Delhi, so too the one self is the life that has its sway over the whole body, and it functions from the heart, cave. The government of the body is conducted through the different pranas that are referred to above. Any government will have its various ministers. Our life alone expresses itself in its 5 different moods, and each performs a different function in this physical body, as each minister is in charge of a given department. And all of them are expressions of the one government in power. So he's meaning to prana here, right? The central government. So too, the one self is the life. Is he meaning the central government is the Atma, or the prana? I think he's meaning the Atma.
I think it is prana.
No,
The
because he
overall
says, no, see, he says, so too the one self is the life that has its sway over the whole body. It is the self, ultimately it is the self. Without the
correct.
self, there is no pancha pranas also. So it is the
Correct,
one
correct.
self which is the central government. From that, the different ministers and the portfolios are the different pranas and all the other things.
Right. Yes.
The government of the body is conducted through the different pranas that are referred to above. So any government will have its various ministers. So one life alone expresses itself in its 5 different moods. And each performs a different function in this physical body. Prana controls the perceptions at the different sense organs. The spots on the physical body at which sense perceptions seem to function are not in themselves the sense organs. For instance, the 2 eyes are only instruments, golayas, through which the power of vision beams forth, and the exact power of vision is in essence located in the mind-intellect equipment. If the mind does not come in contact with the sense organs, then no perception is possible. A man in deep thoughts or sleep does not see and recognize the person standing by his side because his mind has not gone out through the eyes to see the object before him. This subtle body, constituted of the 5 pranas, the 10 sense organs, the mind and the intellect, the instrument with which we experience pain and pleasure, is made out of the 5 great elements called the rudimentary elements, tanmatras, before they had gone through the process of their 5-fold subdivision and mutual combination. So before the Panchikarana. While the physical body explained in the last stanza is an establishment serving as the hall of experience, the subtle body formed out of the rudimentary elements, tanmatras, is that by which or through which the enjoyment of the objects in the outer world is rendered possible. The subtle body is constituted of the instruments of experience. So, anyone wants to share anything, ask anything before we close? So it's not the sense organs, the spots in the physical body themselves that are the perceptive equipment. It is the mind behind that. So they are only the instruments, just like how the Sthula Sharira is. It's just the hall of experience. It just houses this. Whereas the actual experience is the Sukshma Sharira. Similarly, the power of vision is located in the mind-intellect equipment. So we'll do Shloka 16 tomorrow. Huh? Sorry, this is 14. Yeah, this is 14. 14 and 15, 16. We're kind of back behind a little bit. And we didn't touch upon Bhagavad Gita today. But we'll do this tomorrow. And we'll wait for Percy G's sharing in case he's able to retrieve that. We'll do even that. We'll understand it better. So shall we wind up here today? Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sarvam Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. Dhanyavad.
Dhanyavad.
Everybody.
Jai Gurudev.